Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. I was looking through the videos, wasn't much out there tonight. Figured I'd throw a real quick one together because I'm down here doing some work. Thought maybe you'd like something to look at. Okay, thanks very much. You know, one of the things you're going to need is when you're doing any kind of restorations or any kind of projects, you're going to need an assortment of hardware. And this is something that as you get older, you tend to buy more of. The first hardware rack was this. I bought at US General. I think I was about 18 years old, and it came in a kit like this, and it was very handy. But then since then, you start gathering up hardware, and my mother used to drink this stuff, Taster's Choice instant coffee, and I used to save all the jars, and I have literally hundreds of jars, and I used to fill them with all kinds of hardware and everything you can imagine, because clear jars are great because you can see what's in the jar. Now, I can't tell you how many times threaded rod, or all thread as some people call it, has saved my life. If you're doing a project or something, this is great to have. And I picked up like that whole roll of 1/4x20 threaded rod for like $2. So whenever you can find it at a flea market. And then I bought these cases because I wanted to put all my hardware in here and have it labeled, especially the smaller stuff, and boxes and things like that. Last time I was at a steam engine show, I saw this guy had a bunch of cans. I bought a few cans of you could see these washers. This was $4 for this can full of washers, and a lot of times they come in handy. And this is something that as you get older, you start to buy these unusual things. Now, years ago on eBay, there was a hardware store going out of business, and I bought a lot of their stock. And let me show you what's in this hardware store. Was going out of business, and you could see picked up boxes and boxes of machine screws and whatnot, and they might have been $20 something for a box, but if you buy this stuff, you know how expensive it is. And then of course I have assortments. When you need here, you have nylon lock assortments and washer assortments, Fender Washes. If you don't know what a Fender washer is, I'll show you. You know how you have your regular washers. I buy these. I remember buying these as a kid at an old hardware store by the pound. But you can see a regular washer here. It has the dimensions. It depends on what the inner part of the washer is, whether it's 1/4 inch, 5/16, and then the outer side. They have different sizes. They have tons of different types. But a Fender washer is something that has a little bit of a larger wall thickness from the inner part to the outer part, and a smaller in hole in the middle, and they come in different sizes. And this is just, you buy these kits like this, and these are inexpensive. They're made overseas, but they can get you out of a jam a lot of times. Just the opposite of a Fender washer is something called a machine bushing. And what a machine bushing is, it's got a thinner wall with a larger hole inside, and these, it's an assortment here. I bought these at Tractor Supply. Again, you might be doing something, and for me to take a regular washer and put on a lathe and cut this out, it takes too much time. And here it is, it's all done, and you pick up a set like this for like $8, and you never know when it comes. Now, for storing the hardware, I have these that I use because I developed a lactose intolerance, and I can't really drink milk anymore, so I have to use this in my coffee. But whatever, this these are great, but you can't see through them. And when you can't see through them, unless you mark them somehow, it's a little difficult to know what's in them. But that's good for, if you're moving or some whatever. But I prefer glass jars. And as long as you don't have butterfingers, glass is a great option because it don't get scratched up. And these mason jars are great for hardware. As you can see, I have a lot of those. They're inexpensive, they look good, and they're uniform. That brings me to today. I bought this a lot of nuts and bolts from this guy here on eBay, and it was $18. And it sounds like a lot, but I'm telling you, when you got to buy certain hardware, or if you're in a pinch, it's really difficult. Let me show you. You can see it's 10 pounds of hardware. That's the scale. Now, this is what was in the box, and this box again was $18 with free shipping. It was 10 pounds of comes out to $1.80 a pound or so. And I have to tell you, I'm very happy with what I got, but sometimes you get a thing and they're rusted. Nothing worse than rusted hardware, but this is all decent quality hardware. It's not thin. These are hardened washers, and if you try and get hardened washers, they're not cheap to get, but they're a couple different sizes. You got hardened washers. Again, you got some of those machine bushings we were talking about in good quality. You could see the thickness of these. And again, these are parts. I'll separate these. I'll put all the washers in one area, and especially the odd shaped ones. You never know when you have a. Here is a hardened washer, but a very thin wall one. So very difficult to find a lot of these different type hardwares. Hardened bolts. We all know what a hardened bolt goes for these days, and this could save you in a, you know, whatever you're doing. But interesting, this is a galvanized. You could see the finish on here. This is a Carriage Bolt, and I'm sure that they're pretty much standard sizes. Here is a zinc plated Carriage Bolt. You can see the difference here. This one's made for outside. This one's made for something that's not exposed to the weather. They look very close in size, and that's where the nut and bolt checker comes in, because I can see what they are. Here is you can see it's a flat type bolt that gives you, you know, won't protrude on the surface, but still has that square area to stop it. Again, you don't see too many of these type bolts around, right? And square washes. I have to tell you, I don't think I've ever seen square washers before. But an interesting assortment of hardware. And if you're going to do any kind of work, you know, it's always nice to have them. But we all have these jars of hardware, and a lot of times it's a last resort. But if you separate them from nuts, bolts, washers, things like that, it's a lot easier to go. Okay, out of that box, we just did a preliminary assortment, and I put all my threaded bolts. And again, what's nice about a glass container, you could look through, you could see here, but this is just all the threaded bolts that came out of there. And this one is the total miscellaneous, mostly screws, but you can see there's some brass screws in there. Always nice to have. There's some rivets. You know, Rich and I were talking about how rivets, you know, certain ones are hard to find. Over here we have some nuts. And you can see this is just all the nuts that are in here. A lot of them are hardened. Hardened nuts are quite expensive now. And the last one here is just the washers, you know, miscellaneous washers, all from that $18 assortment. So just a little quick one put together today. You know, I'm a real big hardware nut. I love hardware, and you know, if you don't have a good hand on good supply on hand, if you're doing a project, you're gonna have to. Everything comes to a stop. You got to run to the store. So, you know, sometimes it pays to get these assortments. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this little quick one. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye bye.